Is San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy in danger of missing this upcoming game against the Packers? A must win, a game that the San Francisco 49ers absolutely have to have. And are we going to be talking about the potential chance that Joshua Dobbs starts, that Brandon Allen starts? We have an interesting development on our hands regarding the potential availability of Brock Purdy. We should know more in a little bit, but let's talk about and kind of react to what we have seen come out of practice today and the day before. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. All right, we are going to have Brock Purdy speak to the media today. So maybe we'll have a little bit of further clarity on this situation, but there's something going on with Brock. Obviously, we understand he is having the shoulder soreness. That is something that's already been confirmed and something that we've already discussed. But as it stands right now, this is kind of the development that has played out today, and obviously is something that has trickled in from yesterday. So Brock Purdy was seen going through individual warmups, not throwing, and kind of going through the motions, just wasn't throwing like he typically would. At first, when I saw it, my initial reaction was, all right, well, that seems like a first, with Brock. Even, kind of took me back a little bit to when he was coming back from the shoulder surgery, or not the shoulder, the elbow surgery, and was kind of going through the motions. Obviously, these two injuries, from my understanding, aren't related. They could have a potential impact of hold on. Woo! Sorry, I had to sneeze. The situation with Brock, I don't think there's a correlation to the surgery that he had on his elbow, but let's talk about it. So he doesn't throw yesterday, at least for the open portion of practice. And so okay, he doesn't practice, or he doesn't throw, at least for the open portion. Today, I fully expected Brock to likely kind of start throwing today in the kind of pregame, not the pregame, the individual drills and what have you. So initially reported, I believe it was David Lombardi of the SF Standard who had said that Brock Purdy was throwing at the early portions of practice. So I think before practice had maybe even kicked off, he was throwing the ball around. And as practice continued and they went into a specific period, then Brock went into the weight room, and then he didn't come back out while the media was out there. So we obviously know he's dealing with the shoulder, but I think it becomes interesting now, where before I was less concerned about the shoulder. Really thought it was more just precautionary, more maintenance, more, what have you, regarding his shoulder injury. And I don't know. I don't know. Is it more serious than we anticipated? Is it something that will actually put him in danger of potentially missing a must-win game against the Packers? And I think the only reason why this becomes like a big talking point, obviously, is because it's a quarterback, And it's just something that we are kind of monitoring for the first time. I think, again, if you told me, Brock's just resting it, makes sense. This guy's been throwing nonstop. I think he'll be okay if he doesn't throw for a couple days in practice to allow the shoulder to kind of loosen up, and just kind of get back to normal. So like if you tell me that Brock is back throwing at practice tomorrow, then that tracks to me. But because of the way it's played out now, we now have a variable, and the variable that has been introduced is, well, what if Brock doesn't play? Is he more hurt than maybe we were anticipating? Is the shoulder bothering him more than we expected? Those, I think, are now the questions that we are asking based on him leaving practice today. So again, that's just the world that we live in, where we're trying to figure out, like, okay, is Brock actually playing? Is he in danger of playing? I don't know. I don't know. So what will be interesting is in about 10 minutes, we are going to see if we're going to hear from Sorensen. We're going to hear from uh, who else? Forster, and then we're going to hear from Brock directly. So it'll be very interesting to see what Brock has to say on the matter. I believe he will present more context to the situation that could completely put our minds at ease, and we could be like, oh, okay, he's letting us know what the situation is, blah blah blah. But again, it just opens up the potential for thinking of what this team could look like with Brandon Allen at quarterback or Joshua Dobbs. And again, we're just throwing out scenarios right now. We don't know for sure if Brock is actually in danger of missing. We are trying to determine if that is the case or if they're being precautionary. Both things exist, both things are variables, and both things we don't know for sure. So at minimum, we know that they're being precautionary. That's why he's not practicing. That's why he's not out there throwing. And so, at least from what we have been able to be alerted to, um, the fact that he was throwing before practice, again, don't have the actual eyes on of what that looked like. But that to me would be a optimistic sign that this is more precautionary than anything else. So I think it just makes tomorrow's practice a little bit more, eyes on of, well, what are we going to get from Brock tomorrow? Is he going to practice? Is he going to throw? And so I think it just puts a higher alert onto tomorrow's practice, because as you guys know, we talk about these practice reports 3 days a week. We talk about the significance of them, and this is just par for the course. And obviously, when it happens to the quarterback, it becomes a higher elevated talking point. It becomes a higher elevated point of concern. And of course, when the 49ers have to win this game against the Packers, it elevates that even higher. So the reason why we're spinning on this is because we don't know. We don't know where the 49ers currently stand with Brock. We don't know if this is precautionary or indicative of a maybe more concern than anticipated. And like I said, we will hopefully get more information from Brock in about, I don't know, 20 minutes from the point of where I'm speaking right now. So again, these questions could be answered shortly. They could not. We're going to have to wait and see. But let's just spin on this for a little bit while we're waiting for the 49ers press conference. If, let's say, hypothetically, again, this isn't even speculation. We're just talking pure hypotheticals at this point. If Brock couldn't go, who would you want to see up? Would you want to see Joshua Dobbs, or would you want to see the 49ers current quarterback 2 in Brandon Allen? Uh, Head out there on the road. I don't know if you guys have seen the current conditions in Green Bay, but yikes. Again, we talked about the timing of this game when the schedule came out. We talked about the timing of this game when it was first we were first alerted of the home and away opponents. And we talked about, man, would love to be on the road at Green Bay early in the season to avoid uh, any potential weather concerns, issues. And right now, this is what it looks like in Green Bay. Now, obviously, the weather can change. They can, you know, they can. I think I've also checked the weather report. I don't believe it is expected to be snowing on the day of the game, which means everything's clear. But it is important to keep in mind you're working with very cold temperatures that changes the feel of the ball. The ball will get harder. Your hands, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to throw a football while your hands are frozen. But it's an interesting when you can barely like bend your knuckles. Um, so it's going to be a challenge, but obviously both quarterbacks are going to have to play in this weather, and it is what it is. So doesn't matter. It's why you play the game, and so we'll see. But I don't know. I think if it were up to me, I would if Brock couldn't go and worst case scenario happens, I would probably want to see Dobbs out there. He seems like it feels like Brandon Allen's going to execute the offense, play within the offense, and just kind of do what is asked. Where it feels like Dobbs could be a playmaker. Dobbs can create with his legs. He can play within structure, but he can also create. I kind of would lean towards Dobbs in this situation. It's funny. I've seen some of you guys talking about Tanner Mordecai. Is Tanner Mordecai still on the practice squad? I haven't heard a peep from Tanner Mordecai. I gotta check. Is he still? I would imagine he is. I didn't see anything about him being dropped or anything, but I haven't. That's one name that I have not heard since since training camp. Uh, I think yeah, he's still on the practice squad. So, uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We got Sorensen going right now. Sorensen doesn't really say a whole lot, so I'm not really like I'm gonna get off right around when Forster comes on, just because Sorensen he really doesn't say much of anything. He's very dialed in with the coach speak. Um, so anyways, we're gonna find out. We're gonna hear from Kyle, or we're gonna hear from Brock Purdy here shortly. Um, and we're gonna be able to hopefully get some additional insight on this matter if that is something that will be a concern. Um, I would have so again, this is part of the thing with what we're gonna hear from Brock. I don't think Brock is going to tell us if he will play or not. We just have to kind of pick up on how he's talking about this situation, and we're gonna have to kind of piece it together. I don't expect him to say one way or the other if he's going to play, if he's not. So the thing I think we're gonna be listening for with Brock is more so just to kind of provide context into how he's feeling with his shoulder, is, why he's not practicing, et cetera, or at least not throwing in front of the media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of more what we're looking for today. He's not going to tell us if he's going to play or not. Again, uh, he was reported as a limited participant yesterday in practice. It'll be interesting to see what his participation will be today. Um, but that's also what we will be looking for. So, you know what? I'm actually going to head over to uh, the YouTube stream right now that the 49ers got of uh, the press conferences. And again, we're going to hear from Brock Purdy today. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of insight. So I'm going to head on over there. I'll probably see you guys over there as well in the chat. Um, all that good stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what we get today. But we're obviously going to talk about it once we hear from Brock as well. So appreciate everyone for tapping in. Head on over to the YouTube stream, smash that like button over there for the 49ers, all that good stuff. And drop a bread emoji in the chat. Let's go. I'm out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see you.